Now, I want to answer this now because I know it's time where students are buying textbooks and all that. Now, so this question. Can Christians buy pirated books? Can Christian buy pirated books? Okay, so for the younger ones, in case you don't know what is pirated books, it's not books with pirates and sailors, that kind of thing. Not that kind of pirated books. All right, pirated books means okay, means what? What to explain? Means they are not original copies made by that the author made, and then the proper printer printed it. It's just someone who find a printer, copied it, and then sell it cheap. Pirated. You know, pirates steal things, right? Basically that's what it is. That's called pirated. So it's pirated, stolen. Okay, understand? So young ones, that's pirated books. Anyone can help me with another name for it? Yes?
Another way is like, supposedly the book has copyright, but like you just download it for any free sources, but you were supposed to pay for it.
Okay, so the other kind of pirated books is now you may not buy a hard copy of this pirated book. You may buy an online copy. So it's online, and then someone put it there, or some private network, and then they say, oh, you can get this book for free. Then you can download it for yourself, right, without paying for it, or pay very little for it. But I'm asking how to explain pirated. All right, Phoebe, understand pirated now? Pirated, all right? Okay. Otherwise, I explain, they don't understand. Matthew, you understand pirated now? Okay, good. All right, so pirated books, should Christian buy them? Should Christian buy them? Now, the person says the reason for this is I usually buy pirated books. Oh no, I usually buy pirated books from Taobao. Right? So you know where to not buy pirated books, because number one, they're significantly cheaper than physical textbooks sold in Australia. So the person said, I feel a bit iffy. You have to explain all that. I feel uncomfortable. I feel a bit not sure about that. I feel iffy because it feels like I'm stealing someone else's intellectual property. Why do you feel like you're stealing someone else's intellectual property? Because it's called pirated, I guess. Now, so as Christians cannot be ignorant, so I would like to ask for clarification. Okay, so it's very common. This is very common for students. Even for adults, you may find out something. They say, maybe this is a cheaper book, I'll just buy it. It's pirated and it's online, infringing copyright. Now, first and foremost, you shouldn't, clearly. But sometimes people say, don't know why. This church, everything also shouldn't. Understand the biblical reason. Number one, under Trademarks Act 1995, the Copyright Act 1968, and the other acts, one whole string of acts, now says counterfeiting and piracy constitute criminal offense. I read to you again. Counterfeiting and piracy. Counterfeiting means it is not original, you make a copy of it. Counterfeiting, an example of counterfeiting, and piracy constitute criminal offense. So the nation calls it criminal offense. Criminal offense means you broke the law and you are a criminal. All right? So number one, because of that. Now, next, under intellectual property. Intellectual property. Property means it belongs to someone. Usually we feel property means, well, a car, a piano, a laptop, that's their property. Now, there are things called intellectual property. You must understand this concept. Means it is up here, intellectual. It is not something as in you can hold on, but even like a book. What is the value of the book? The ideas that the person's intellect put into that book. Right? So you say, but it's a physical copy, you know, it's the intellectual property. What belongs to them is what their ideas. Okay, their ideas. So intellectual property means it belongs to someone. Alright, so now with that, then we have to very simply say, you cannot, because God says, if you live in a nation, now you must subject yourself to the government's laws, right? And all their laws. So even you think, but this is so expensive, this is a silly law. As long as it's a government's law, the Christian must obey, whether you agree or disagree. In other words, Now, simply mean which commandment is broken. Maybe Maggie, which commandment is broken? It belongs to someone and then you stole it. Which commandment? What do robbers say again? Number 8. Very good. Thou shalt not steal. Number 8. So buying these things because they are intellectual property, they have been pirated. These intellectual properties have been pirated, counterfeited. Then you are stealing. You are stealing. Now, not only that, you have to understand this. Now, so the person say, because they are cheaper. Now, maybe ask you, why is it cheaper? Michelle, like say I call Michelle, not Mimi, right? Michelle, why is it cheaper? Because it's pirate.
They download, they buy the real version and they copy it and then sell it at a significantly cheaper price.
Yeah, but it's still printing. Why is it cheaper? Oh, Shannon wants to answer.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, question.
So it's cheaper for some sort, right? But then for things like Project Gutenberg, right? They release free copies of ebooks that have fallen into public domain under US law. But in some countries, copyright still remains. In Australia, would we be able to access them? We'd be able to access them legally, but would we be able to access them without being stealing? Because some countries.
So some books, they are out of print and there are no more copyright laws bound on it. In some countries, for that book, you can access it freely. In some countries, they still put a copyright law on it. So how? Follow the country laws. If you're here and you need the book, buy it, if it is under copyright law still. If you're here and you need it, you don't have to pay for it, then you don't have to pay for it. Follow the country laws, right? That's how we live. Okay? So if you want to use that and you need to use that here, then make sure that you follow the country laws. Now, so back to Michelle. Well, why is it cheaper? Very simply, it's cheaper because, now, they can print it at the same quality of the textbook, right? Same kind of paper, same kind of hardcover, same kind of color print, okay? But why is it cheaper? Why is it cheaper? Now the answer is this. For example, it is cheaper because you are paying for intellectual property, right? You're not just paying for paper and printing ink. That's all. You are paying for, now the reason why the person would charge this amount and expect this kind of royalty is because he spent a lot of time researching the topic, thinking about it. His energy and time, his work, his life, his work is writing and producing this book. It's his salary, right? That is why it's expensive. Like you can buy something, all right? This one is maybe $100. Why is a counterfeit pointer only $5? Why? Because of the original has research and development cost that goes into it in order to produce that. But counterfeit and pirating means I just wait for you, you spend all your R&D money, you spend all your energy researching and producing it. When you produce it, I take it apart, I just counterfeit it. That's why it's very cheap. There's not much energy involved. Right? Don't have to hire a team of people, don't have to create machines that do all that, don't have to. So that is why it's cheap. Now, then it goes to not only stealing, let's turn to Leviticus chapter 19 verse 13. Leviticus 19 verse 13. Now that's another principle that Christian must be very convicted about. Leviticus 19 verse 13. Now let's read together. Leviticus 19 verse 13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, nor rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. You see, God taught that principle to his children, to his people. You must not defraud others. You cannot take their things, their intellectual property, counterfeit it. You're defrauding him. You're cheating him. Now, why? Because you cannot defraud him, rob him of his wages. He set aside everything and spent his time producing that. You just copy it and you sell and you make money. Now, then what happened to all the time that he spent? That is supposed to be his salary. He's just making it so that when he sells, those salary will come to him. It's still his wages, his effort, and then he should be paid for it. Intellectual property, all right? Don't say, it's just paper, oh, it's not fair, what's the big deal? Now, so that is the other reason, okay? Now, Jeremiah 22:13, for sake of time, I read to you. Jeremiah 22:13, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, useth his neighbour's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. I repeat, uses his neighbour's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. They put in the service to produce that, but you don't pay them for it. That is why it is very wrong. The Christian must have this kind of principle in him. Okay? Now, yeah, it's expensive because there are royalties. Every time they sell that book, a certain amount is wages to this person for his work. It gets paid to him. The more they sell, the more royalties he gets. When it is not that copy that they sold, means he doesn't get any royalty. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So as students, now, just don't think it's cheaper and all that and then you just go sin, go break God's law. I want to say this. The main thing is this. It will slowly change you. You will say, just a little bit, just a little cost, just a small one. You will slowly be someone who just ignore thou shalt not steal to become an unrighteous person. You will become such a person. Alright? Besides the fact that it's just outright sin. Now, there's another thing I want to emphasize here, since we're talking about this, is plagiarism. Plagiarism. Alright? Plagiarism. Plagiarism. Right? I spelled it correctly, I hope. Plagiarism. Now, what is plagiarism? Alright? Plagiarism is basically you do some work. Maybe you write a paper, you do you write an article. Now, but the ideas were not yours. You stole it from someone else's writings and materials or ideas. And then you don't acknowledge that these ideas are taken from this person in this book, and so on, give credit to them. Or some may require you, if you quote more than how many percent of my writings, you must pay or whatever. Right? Know the laws. Now, but why do I want to emphasize this? Because many of you students, you have to write papers, you have to write research work and all that. Be very careful of this. Don't just think it's not piracy, it is not counterfeiting. It's fine. It is the same thing. It's someone else's work. So be very careful. So like for example in church, we are very careful whenever we want to use a picture for our poster or what. We check very carefully. Do we need to pay royalties? Do we need to buy it? Some are in public domain and they say there's nothing linked, no copyright, nothing, then we use it. If we want to use something else, it needs to be paid, we pay for it. We pay for it. Alright? So, and also for you, when you write papers, be very, very careful. Don't do this. Well, as long as I don't copy word for word, maybe I just rearrange some of the words and all that. It's still, in your heart, it was not your idea, it was someone else. Be honest. You can just simply say, this part, this is a very good approach and idea, and give credit. You don't do that, you will also slowly become someone that's deceptive. Right? So there's something very important. There's something we are trained very hard in Bible college. Reverend Quack buys a software. That's what he tells us. He buys a software. Every of our research paper, he puts it through that software. The software will scan and see how many percent is plagiarized. Alright? And you will fail straight away. Because you are a liar and a cheater. You have no place. Such people have no place in the ministry. Or when you preach. Right? When you preach, and then you listen to someone else's sermon, this is a good sermon, and then you just preach it like it's yours. Plagiarism. Nothing wrong to quote, but you will become a deceptive liar. Alright? So that's very important. It's not just for Bible college students, it's for all Christians. Okay, so that's the other one. What do we have here? Top 5 reasons why church dropouts what church dropouts say, why they stop attending church. Now please remember 66% of, well, I take the American view, they're the most readily available results, they stop attending church at least a year after turning 18. So from